Story 1. Have a kid. Never thought I would be the type of guy to be a dad. Ended up being a single parent by 18, and obviously not the best circumstances for a child to come into the world. But I love my son more than life itself, and we are doing great. Story 2. I'm an introverted person, so any job that relies on interacting with people seemed to be a hard no for me. Then I took some advanced English courses at a local language school. My tutor was the school's headmaster, and at the end of the course, he asked me if I'd like to do some tutoring from time to time. It's not a full-time school job. I just have a few students per week, and I also used to teach in companies and similar settings. It's not like some dream come true, and I can't imagine doing this full-time, but I've gotten used to it and even kind of enjoy it. Story 3. Just dropped out of my last exam before final practical placements today. I was struggling for years and years to get here. In pain, tired, told it was all mental health. Recently, I had an urgent computed tomography scan for acute pain that led to the discovery that I have fused joints from arthritis after being repeatedly told I did not have arthritis. It hit me again a week ago. I just cannot even function because it is the worst I have ever felt. 100,000 Australian dollars in debt for university. Story 4. Living where I live, I made a joke to my friends about the city I am in, about how it was so basic that everyone moved there. Well, I actually see why people do and love it. Story 5. Work a boring office job. And here I am in my 40s, an accountant of all things with my office, desk, and 9-to-5 schedule. My teenage self would be so ashamed. Story 6. Get a divorce. But the night he backed me into a corner and smashed my phone so I couldn't call for help, I thought I was going to die. I didn't realize how bad it had gotten, and I knew I had to leave. Story 7. Buying a minivan. Literally told people when I was in my 20s that if I ever buy a minivan, just shoot me. A couple of decades later, I'm ever vigilant for assassins. Story 8. Drinking again after my first round of horrible withdrawals. I was as sick as a dog, could not eat or sleep for days, and spent about a week to get fully recovered. Also struggled to walk and sometimes even move at all without throwing up. Guess who is going through their 4th round of withdrawals right now? Yes, that would be me. Story 9. Falling in love. Because of my toxic household, I assumed that all relationships were transactional and that love wasn't real. Enter my first boyfriend, who showed absolute selflessness and endless affection. I was unsure how to react because nothing had ever prepared me for him. Story 10. Forgive my cheating husband. Cheating was always my #1 deal breaker. You really never know how you will react to a situation until it is staring you in the face. Story 11. Yell at my kids like my father used to yell at me. It was almost an out-of-body experience when I heard myself yelling those hurtful words that I used to hear. I knew they were bad, but I just wasn't able to stop myself. Story 12. Get a credit card. Ended up with 6 and in loads of trouble. Took 15 years to get debt-free, but I'm so much better now. I have to make sure that I have the money to buy things before I get them now, and practicing delayed gratification is quite liberating. Story 13. Work a desk job. I was a super energetic, fun nanny and early childhood teacher for over 25 years. I was amazing at my job, but I had to work 2 other jobs on the side to afford to live. Now I work a soulless job for the state, but it pays more than double my teaching salary. It's so relieving to not have to live paycheck to paycheck anymore. Story 14. I won't do that, but I'll never do it better than I do it with you. So long, so long. And I would do anything for love. Oh, I would do anything for love. I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. I won't do that. Story 15. Staying after my husband cheated on me. It was black and white before. I would leave if he ever did that. There are shades of gray in life. There are kids and houses and shared dreams. It's been a very hard road, and sometimes I still even surprise myself. Story 16. Work in food and beverage. Only did it once for a time after I finished college. Absolutely hated it. It's why I am always patient and easygoing with my food service because I know what they deal with. Story 17. Get trapped in a lonely relationship working at a soul-draining desk job. Upside, though, the relationship just ended last week. So I got that going for me. Story 18. I swore I would never have anything to do with weapons of any kind at age 12. I joined the military. I am part of Civil War reenactments. I have swords, bows, spears, guns, armor, muskets, bayonets, and lightsabers. Story 19. Move back to the United Kingdom and work for the National Health Service. I lived in New Zealand for most of my adult life. For the longest time, I couldn't imagine moving back to the United Kingdom, and if I ever did, I would give up nursing. I moved back to the United Kingdom in 2022, and I'm currently working for the National Health Service. Such an inefficient thing. The National Health Service does not need more funding. It needs to gut its bloated managerial and administrative class. They don't do anything. Story 20. I have not killed or seriously injured anyone. I have not abused anyone. Other than that, I have done about everything at least once. Best to stick to your plans to be good. The alternative is painful. Story 21. Get married. My parents' marriage was a mess, so I really thought that was how marriage was and said no. I am married now, going on 18 years, so I guess it worked out. Story 22. I once swore I would never be the kind of person who procrastinates important things until the last minute, and yet here I am, somehow thriving or barely surviving on last-minute pressure more often than I would like to admit. Story 23. Went through heartbreak once and said never again. Now that I know how it feels, surely I'll know how to react next time. Then, I fell in love and got my heart broken again. Story 24. Losing my job. I am good at my job. My bosses liked and respected me. I've frequently gotten great annual reviews and have not once ever received a negative one. Then, due to some poor management decisions post-COVID-19, they had to make massive budget cuts to get back on track. I just happened to be at a point where my prior project was winding down, and the new one had all of its funding cut. So, I no longer had a team to manage, and I was laid off. Even if people you work with care, companies don't care. You can do everything right and still get taken advantage of while the people actually responsible either keep their job or just ride their golden parachute to the next executive level job at another company. Story 25. Play Animal Crossing. I was almost mad when I found out my wife spent $60 on it, especially since we could not each have our own save. And even more so since my character could not advance the story or unlock things. I have since started over, I run the island, I have unlocked everything, I play almost every day, and she plays it maybe once a month. You never know what you will be into until you try it. Story 26. Moving back to my hometown. When I was 15, my mom moved us all from New York City to the suburbs. I found people there to be ignorant, bigoted, boring. I could not wait to leave. But at 45, fate brought me back. I cannot say much has changed. There is still lots of ignorance and bigotry, maybe less boring because I am more boring. I don't plan to be here in another year or so. My mom has dementia, and it's rapidly eating away at her. Once she passes, it will be time to get out once again. Story 27. Moving to London, my whole time living in a commuter town. I hated London every time I went. Yet here I am, 4 years in, living in Hackney. I still hate London, but the jobs are the reason I'm here, and not wanting to leave my home as I'm almost 30 is the sole reason I'm here. Story 28. I swore I would never get involved with someone who was married. Then I dated a person who I found out was married after we started dating. And it was a sham marriage to get her into the country. Story 29. Injecting heroin. I saw a lot of my friends go down that road when I was a teenager and said I would never do it. Well, I eventually did it and wasted a lot of years doing it after that first time. 11 or more years off that now and no looking back. Story 30. Spend my late 20s working in an office, dissociating until the weekend, and noticing months go by at lightning fast speed. Then do it again next month. Story 31. Getting married a second time. I was like, I am going to be alone forever after my divorce. People plan and the universe laughs. I met the best man in the world. Fates aligned. I would be lost without him. We got married last month. Story 32. Smoke cigarettes. thought I was a good boy by having the discipline of only sticking to weed as my escape. Life happened, and now I'm someone I swore I would never be. Story 33. I was chosen as a temporary department lead at my work twice. I do not have leadership qualities at all. Somehow I made it work both times. It was equally exciting and stressful. I am just glad I am back to being told what to do instead of the other way around. I also thought I would never have an office job. Doing paperwork or sitting in front of a computer puts me to sleep. I have always wanted to do more hands-on work. Now I have had my own office for the past 4 years. I still do hands-on work though. I am probably in the cab of a forklift more than I am actually in my office. I guess it is a good mix. I would still like to go into fabrication full-time. Right now, that is just a side gig for me. Working on race cars. It is so much more interesting than my day job. Story 34. I'm getting back into weed, but I'll admit I primarily use it for chronic pain where I merely have a few tokes every half an hour or so to take the edge off. Story 35. Public display of affection in public. Always thought it was cringy and embarrassing for everyone around me, until I did it and realized that 1. It's awesome, and 2. No one really cares. Story 36. Promised myself I would never start smoking cigarettes full-time. So instead, I started smoking joints like they were cigarettes. Then I started smoking cigarettes full-time when trying to stop smoking joints. God damn it. Story 37. Having another boyfriend after many years of not. Just found out he has a girlfriend for 3 years. He texted me with his girlfriend in a group chat arranging a threesome. I asked how long she's been seeing him. She said 3 years. I said I was seeing him for over a year. I wonder what went through her mind. Did she think she had this knight in shining armor, but he was seeing me in all his glorious ways? I will miss those hours and hours with him. I guess I really surprised him. Story 38. Smoking. I kept saying to myself I'm not like them. Smokers. I won't poison my body with nicotine and other harmful substances from cigarettes. But seeing how my parents fight each other daily, I needed something to keep my brain busy and I started smoking. Now it's been a week since I quit, but I have no guarantee that I won't start smoking again. I'll see. Story 39. As someone who grew up religious, for a long time I planned on being abstinent until marriage. And oh my, the things I've done as an adult would shock little purity culture teenage me. Story 40. Become a cruiser. Got convinced to go on one with friends and had a great time. Did not think I would. I still struggle with the morality of it, but it is nice to check out and not worry about a thing. Story 41. I ended up using you all instead of you guys. Grew up in California and moved to Texas over 20 years ago. Took me over a decade before it started feeling less awkward. Story 42. Cheat. It's not sexually cheating, but emotionally. Last year, my husband decided he didn't want sex anymore and allowed me to have a friend with benefits. I absolutely didn't want to. I'm very monogamous, but my best friend introduced me to her friend and we fell in love very quickly. In the midst of divorce and planning a future marriage, I'm glad I did it no matter how much I never wanted to. Story 43. Get married. Same-sex marriage was illegal in my state or country for a significant portion of my life, and it might be again soon, so it never occurred to me that marriage was anything except between a man and a woman. The thought of marrying a man was so repulsive to me that I was very anti-marriage. Also, my parents fought a lot and then got divorced, so the appeal of marriage was even less. However, saving myself for marriage had a massive appeal because it was a great excuse not to be intimate with men. Anyways, my wife and I have been together for 13 years now, and I have zero regrets. Even excluding the legal benefits and protections, the idea that someone would try to take this away from us and others is just terrible. Story 44. Work a full-time job. For the last 25 years, my life has been one trauma after another. Abusive upbringing, depression, cancer treatments, medical trauma, side effects after side effects, just non-stop pain and anxiety. So I promised myself that, when things finally stabilized, I'd keep myself working part-time and reduce my stress however I could. But when we needed a bit more money around the house after my wife and I married, I reached out to my employer and they offered me a full-time job. I took it, and my stress levels increased rapidly with no sign of slowing down. Don't get me wrong, I generally love my job and the company I work for, and I'm glad the increased income gives my wife and I more freedom. But for the impact it has on my physical and mental health, I hate this so much. Story 45. I promised my boyfriend that I would not smoke weed again, as the last time I had a very bad psychosis, but I did. I ditched him and it hurts me every day, and I feel that I am a disgusting person. Story 46. Alcohol. Hitting 30 and haven't had it till date. Went on a trip and got introduced to sake. I'm still so terrified of alcohol's effects. Maybe I'll never go overboard and will always stay in the tipsy zone? You never know. Story 47. Cheat on my boyfriend. I never took it seriously before, but once I saw what it did to him, I was heartbroken. Somehow, I still ended up doing it again, and I hate myself to this day for it. Story 48. I didn't realize how much you can love your unborn baby and view them as a whole person. I'm really hoping I get to meet them and they live a long life. It's really weird. I knew miscarriages and stillbirths are devastating, but it was more in theory. I'm going to love this little dude forever. Story 49. Become a nurse. It was too gross and I was too anxious around blood, so I became a massage therapist. Then COVID happened and I lost my job, so I became a nurse so I would always be employed. I got desensitized to blood. Story 50. Owning an SUV, I was and still am a sports car enthusiast. I recently bought a house, and the previous owner left a dead Suburban in the backyard. It had a fuel leak but was otherwise in pretty good shape. She gave me the title as she just didn't want to deal with it anymore. I fixed the leak, I am a mechanic, and started driving it to work and back just to make sure it was all working all right. It's incredibly comfortable. Now I see why everyone owns these things, so I'm keeping it. I'm not selling the cars, but this is the new daily for winter at least. It's like driving a sofa around.